to the penultimate episode of the ComicCorp Podcast. Next week, we wrap things up whole hog, and we say goodbye to the format that we have been doing for too fucking long. I'm excited about going to the new format because that's actually how we started. The reason why Zach's only ever on every other week is because we used to only ever do the show every other week. So there's a little bit of symbology there. That's a quote from I can't remember the fucking movie. It's Willem Dafoe, Norman Reedus. I can't remember it. Oh well. I'm gonna scream out in the middle of a review. Watch. It's just it's gonna happen. But yeah, so we're almost wrapped up. We're almost ready to go. It's gonna be interesting to see what we do first. We haven't settled on any ideas, nor have we settled on our recording dates. But I will enjoy having more Thursdays available to me. Marcus, any thoughts on what we should start off with?
I feel like we came up with something, but then that was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, so we forgot it.
Probably.
Was it Legion?
Legion.
Of superheroes?
Oh yeah, do it. Yeah, that was an idea I floated out. We could certainly tackle the Legion. That'd be interesting. The 2003 2004 animated series. By the by, I looked it up because I wasn't gonna figure it out. It's Boondock Saints. That's the movie I was thinking of. The guy's like, so what's the symbology? And Willem Dafoe goes, symbolism. So, we could do Legion's a superhero. It's only 2 seasons, so it's easy to get off on the right hook with. This would be one of those things where I would advise taking notes, just because I think it would be easier for us to because it's going to take us. One thing I want us to do with the new recording is to breathe with the reviews.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to rush job these things, let's take a week or two. Maybe do especially if it's like a 22-minute cartoon series, we can probably bang out 2 hours worth. So that's like 4 or 5 episodes. Do that throughout a day, or maybe do 10 in a week or something like that. We could probably be ready for it in 2 weeks and actually have, not having to dedicate 2 or 3 entire days to watching something and only watching something and maybe getting more out of it that way. Because sometimes when we do reviews, we're very truncated. We have to rush things. And this way we can avoid doing that. So I think that's a good one to start with. I think Zach would appreciate that one too. So
yeah.
And I think the good part about this is Zach's going to be involved with every episode now, because we'll just be like, well, we'll do it in 3 weeks when Zach's available, and Zach will just be like, God damn it. And I'll be like,
that's one less thing for you to do in case your days get long with your writings.
Yeah.
Then you can spread that out, and then we may be in case we get behind schedule, like sometimes we get with these shows. We get caught up, and then sometimes we may get ahead of schedule. You can be like, we still got a week off from doing it. You can catch up on some more video gaming. So it provides a lot of space for different stuff.
It's very necessary, because I literally did 5 articles during the last 3 hours. I watched Stargirl. I did 3 sports articles, 1 fucking 8-page Star Trek article, and then something else. I forgot. That's how I spent my night. So I didn't get full disclosure. I didn't watch Doom Patrol from last week, so I don't fucking know what happened. Stuff I'm assuming occurred. So it's gonna be interesting to hear the review. Marcus, please don't hold back. Go spoiler heavy. I don't mind, because I done did the fucking up on that one. But anyway, I'm your host as always, Jack Porto. And joining me is the glorious one himself, Marcus Green. Marcus, welcome to the show. We're gonna do the preambles now. You can find us. I cut Marcus off, and I hate doing that. I feel so bad. It's like when you accidentally step on the dog's toes, and he whimpers. And it's like, I didn't mean to do that. I'm so sorry.
Glad to be here.
So you can find us at realnerdcorp.com, RealNerdcorp.com. We have 2 great podcasts up, one talking about Impact Wrestling, one talking about the world of pro wrestling. Those are both up on the website as well as our review of Mortal Kombat of the SNES variety. So that's what we did the last 4 or 5 days. I don't fucking know what day it is. You can also find Marcus on his Twitter account and his podcast. His Twitter account is Paradox Kid, PARADOXKID.
That is me.
I almost forgot how to spell Paradox Kid. I was like, PAR. Fuck. You can also find him on other podcasts, The True Prinny Show at True Prinny Show on Twitter, TruePennyShow. And I'm on Twitter at Chad NerdCorp, ChadNerdCorp, and on Instagram at Chad's Photo Hut. So let's get into Stargirl. Because I'll tell you what, so, like Brainwave Jr. was kind of, I don't know, trash. It wasn't good. Sir Patrick or whatever the fuck his name is, Sir Simon, Sir Lancelot, I don't fucking know his name. That episode was kind of, but that Stars and Stripes Part 1 comes out, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, it was. We got to see her get the point of the last episode. We finally got to see her get humbled properly. There's no more my fault that it's dad that.
And Pat got to look. Well, Pat looked like a champ. Was it last week or was it Brainwave Jr.? Pat looked like a champ by being a good dad. I want to say it was
that was
last week.
Shining Night. That was
Shining Night, which is a double entendre because Sir Justin's name is Shining Knight. And Pat was Courtney's Shining Knight. It works on multiple levels. By the by, I watched and did a review on Star Trek Lower Decks. Don't.
Oh God, I was gonna ask how old that. Like I'm specifically sticking to Discovery and I guess the 2 other spinoffs because I like Anson Mount and Michelle Yao is going to be on the other one, and I definitely like them. Also, Rebecca Romaine is going to be with Anson Mount here. So those 3 actors got me tuned in for that. And also, I mean, obviously coming off Discovery, but I've yet to hear anything good about Lower Decks, and it looks stupid.
The only trends that I see are, well, I liked it, which is always code for I'm too invested in this universe to see the flaws. And we've all been there. I don't want to say that as someone who's like never smelled his own failure. Dude, we repped hard for Arrow Season 3. That was not a good season. I liked some of it. Like, Matt Nable was pretty cool as Roz. Like, I didn't mind that. We got to see more Nessa Al Ghul. Yeah. And we got Katana.
And I'm a fan of Al. Yeah.
So, like, that was cool. But it was not a good season. I will not trash Season 4, however. It gave us Damien Dark. And Damien Dark's the best thing that happened to television since Alf. And I will not stand any Damien Dark and or Alf slander. But there's a lot of people still and part of the issue, and we'll get into Stargirl real fast. Part of the issue with any fandom is it becomes a microcosm of the world at large, which is us versus them. I don't want a us versus them Star Trek. I like Star Trek. I've watched every episode of the Star Trek. That doesn't mean I like every fucking episode, nor does it mean that every episode deserves its affinity for having the brand of Star Trek, especially recently, in my opinion. Season 3 of Discovery is going to be a soft reboot, much like Season 2 of Discovery was. Marcus, you watched both Season 1 and Season 2, yes?
Yeah.
Would you say Season 2 is better than Season 1?
Yeah, I would. And it's funny because I always have to remind myself that a lot of times not to be too hard on a lot of these new shows, whether they be reboots or just originals, because a lot of shows, and even as good as Arrow's first season, well, specifically in hindsight, these shows are trying to find their legs. Mm-hmm. Like, you kind of got to let them breathe sometimes. Now, shows like Arrow do benefit from having a lot of, because we got introduced to a lot of those actors for the first time, but, thankfully they were talented enough to hold their own and become extremely lovable, like Diggle, and Oliver, and some others like Lance. But other times, shows like Discovery kind of hook you because Sonequa Martin Green does a great job, and obviously um, Doug Jones, the goddamn hero, every time he's on screen.
Because
he's hardly ever on.
5 hours of makeup every day.
Exactly. He's a freaking hero, and then you kind of go with those two, and then allow others to kind of fall, and obviously Michelle Yao. So you kind of latch on to those three, and if the story is shaky, they'll save it a little bit. But then in season 2, I think they had a more concise, confined story. They delved more into the characters, and even if the story kind of took a few leaps, you could appreciate it because the character dynamics was there to hold a lot of stuff up. So, like you said, I do think they are getting better with it, even if some people are just kind of content on trashing it because of what they know the past iteration of being what they think it should be now based off that. So,
and that's curious because you've seen a few of the movies, like especially the newer. What's his name with the Abrams Trek? You've seen the Abrams Treks.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the only old Trek I think you've seen is First Contact because I made you watch it.
Yeah.
So I would be curious to see, like, going back and watching DS9, how you feel about watching that one as opposed to watching Discovery. I think that would be a very interesting situation. Maybe something we can explore on the Reimagined ComicCorp podcast. We might need a new name for the podcast, by the way. I just realized that. So it's going to be interesting. But I've always been of the mindset that you can't judge a season until it's over. But you can tell if the show is for you after the pilot. We did get a lot of flushed out after the Arrow pilot, but the Arrow pilot was good.
Yeah.
Things got better, though. And that's when then you got season 2. I always keep my promises, kid. Oh, fuck you do? Oh, God. Oh, I thought you were bluffing. I'm fucked. So, there's you got a hit with the pilot, but you do have time to get better. So, it's going to be interesting. I view content like I view food. If I don't like it after the first bite, I ain't going to keep eating it. But if I like it after the first bite, you tell me you can do better, I'll keep coming back. Wait, you can make this pizza even more cheesier? That's legal? Oh, I'll see you tomorrow. So,
stuffed crust, don't threaten me with a good time.
All right, so we need to get into this right now. Stuffed crust is awful and awesome at the same time. Marcus, do you know why it's terrible, though? Just think about what Pizza Hut stuffed crust gives you or lack thereof.
Let's see, the overabundance of cheese with a little bit of crust.
Yep. The problem I have with stuffed crust is while I do appreciate stuffing the crust, that was the greatest creation of the 90s. That and Cool Ranch Doritos. And I'm putting up any type of medication and or scientific discoveries in that era as well. Doritos, Cool Ranch, sticking cheese in pizza. Fuck yeah. But I'm a big fan of the pizza as a whole, right? Love stuffed crust. But when you get it from Pizza Hut, they give you this thick, juicy, rounded edge with cheese in it, and you're like, yes. But then you go to bite into the pizza portion with the cheese and sauce, and like you break your teeth because it's like a thin layer of nothing. It's like just cheese on top of cheese, and like you're like, where's the rest of the crust? Why is it so thin? Now, if they could do like a pan pizza with a stuffed crust, or like a Chicago deep dish style with a stuffed crust, woo! I'll know how I'll die, and I'll be okay with that.
Deep dish hit different. Yeah.
Deep dish stuffed crust would be the greatest Like, someone could come out with a cure for cancer that takes a pill. Just one pill, cancer gone. And then someone could come out with a deep dish stuffed crust pizza, and I'll be like, Nobel goes to the pizza. You put cheese on the cheese and then in the crust with a big crust. Oh. Oh. I'm a happy boy. I'm a happy boy indeed. So, let's talk about happy boys. Mike's not one of them. So we open up with the Whitmore. Actually, we open up with villains doing villainy things, but it's redundant. The Whitmore Dugans are running around getting all their stuff. Pat takes Mike to the auto shop to show him Stripesy because he's like, "Hey kid, I'm a superhero and I want to show you." And then Mike does the most kid thing ever. He refuses to put down a drill, and he's like, and his dad's like, "I'm trying to talk to you, Mike, and you put it down." So then he barks at him, and Mike goes, "I'm not a child." And I'm sitting there going, "Then why were you acting like one?" So, and I knew it was setting up. One of two things. It's either Mike's going to walk out and die, or Mike's going to walk out, Pat's going to get attacked, and then Mike's going to stab the dude. Option B was the correct answer. Sportsmaster comes around, and Pat knows who he is, so he's like, "Hey, what's his name? Slater? Hater? Slam?" It was something stupid. Do you remember what Sportsmaster's real name was or last name?
Was it's something freaking Slugger, not Slugger.
Like Slugger, Banger, Bangers and Mash.
Damn, what the freak is your name, buddy?
Right?
Because it's something Dragon King Sportsmaster Neil Hopkins. Neil Hopkins, not a bad name.
Crusher.
Crusher, there it is.
There
It's
it
always Crusher or Thumper, not Thumper, but Crusher or...
Thank God Booker T and Hulk Hogan were trying to help us out with that one. We know it ends in an ER. Book, no! Well, brother, not you either, Terry.
I told you he gets a pass.
Because in my home country of Africa. I gotta find that fucking clip, man. That's the greatest fucking thing in Booker T's history.
See now, do a top 10 of that a-hole in TNA.
It's just gonna be 1 through 10. In my home country of Africa. And then him on commentary. Like, that's it. 2. We got 2. That's all you need. So, Crusher's beating the shit out of Pat. Pat's doing all right, though. And Crusher, again's like, "Hey, I don't want to be doing this." But Pat's eventually like, "Yeah, I'll get my ass kicked." So Crusher was like choking him or something. I forget. And then all of a sudden he just yelps in pain. I'm like, "Oh, Mike came back with the drill." And then Crusher turns around. There's Mike sitting there with the drill. I'm like, "Yeah, I just said that."
Bob, speaking of, is he on, like, specifically him, is he on Compound V? Because if I get somebody drilling in my back, I'm not just finna turn around.
Not just in your back, but I'm pretty sure fucking Mike just tore up his kidney.
God, this ain't no regular sports match. Like, him and his wife hit. When I say they hit different, it's literally they hit different. By the way, shout out to the choreographers and these actors. Like, cause when Pat's getting his ass whooped, you feel it.
Yeah.
Like, you feel it. Like, this ain't no, like, oh my God, everybody's on the wire type stuff. Like, no, like, this dude is getting, like, manhandled. And like I said, he, Sportsmaster got a different level of athleticism. When he hits you, you might fly. Like, I'm like, what is he taking? Because this is different. And then I really love the dialogue back and forth. Like, "Hey, where's your robot, man?"
Is it in here? I bet it's in here. I just like how he goes, "Where are you hiding your robot?" I'm just like sitting there looking around my room like, it's in the other room. It's 16 stories tall.
It's so confident. It's like, you know what? Why don't we do this the old-fashioned way? Yeah. Why don't we do that? Because he sounds like Owen Wilson with more swag. Yeah. And he's doing the put him up. And he's letting him get shots off. And he puts him on his knees. And he's like, "Oh, man, you can put some more power behind that." Yep. And he hits him and he gets him on his knees. And then he sucker punches. It's like, sucker punch. Like, it's like the exchange the verbal exchange was as good as the physical. It was great.
It was. Wow. Just Owen Wilsoning the whole. Wow, you hit real hard. Wow. So eventually, Mike's fucking drill guns Sportsmaster's kidney to shit. It's all right. He has to. And that's, they're like, yeah. And then Pat just smashes him in the head with some type of giant ass wrench.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Tigress is in a 2-on-1 handicap match, or 3-on-1.
Essentially. I don't know if because the greatest line in the history of lines might just be talent's not sexually transmitted. Thank you, AJ Lee. I think it might be, and I think Tiger slept with a stormtrooper because for some reason she couldn't hit a 43-year-old blonde chick who with no athletic ability whatsoever. I'm not saying she's lost her edge. I'm just saying she's probably lost her edge. Someone needs to put the Tigers down. Like, I get maybe not hitting Courtney, but you couldn't even wing her mom. Like, Tigers, I'm pretty sure the criticism about you and your husband not being able to finish the job is fair. Your husband let Pat off the hook at least 5 times, and you just missed every opportunity you had to hit his wife. Oh, you guys are the worst.
Yeah, it's you guys are like failure entertainment.
Yeah.
Failure entertainment.
Enter failures? Failurements?
Yeah.
One of those work.
It should have, cause by the way, that was shot in a great way too. Like that whole thing, the close quarters in the house, the mom, Amy Smart ducking back and forth, the staff basically doing this thing, and Courtney getting a chance to show off, and Amy Smart's character actually being impressed, which was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Because now she gets to see exactly, because this was her first real dive into this superhero-ness, because she, up until this point, she just had been told about it, and obviously you see a damn glowing staff that basically can stand up right on its own, you kind of start to have to believe. But now seeing your little girl in action, that was cool. But the way that they lost, and then you're gonna get to the part where I guess they got verbally reprimanded, which didn't end well for that person.
No, it did not. What I did like was both the fight scenes focused on not just the strengths of the heroes. For Courtney, it was her athleticism and her bond with the staff. For Pat, it was his, I don't give a fuck, I'm going to get back up, and you're going to have to break your fist to break my face. So I appreciated that from Pat. But both of them ended up winning their fight, so to speak, because the non-superhero got involved. With Pat, it was Mike drilling fucking Sportsmaster in a sports kidney. And then for Courtney, she was about to, as Ron Killings would say, get got. And then her mom smashed a vase over her head. Sorry, a vase. So, that was a nice kind of, duality moment there for both the situations. And I really thought that was a well-done scenario. Fast forward for Sportsmaster and Tigers. They're working on each other in the house. And the woman who would be the fiddler, who has done next to nothing in this series besides maybe play a minority quotient, maybe those Riverdale actresses have a point. Her literal claim to fame in this entire series, Marcus, is that she told her son that his father once shoved his fiddler bow into the kid's eardrum.
Oh, that scene was so awkward.
It was. It made no sense.
So creepy.
First off, wait, you have a kid? I know you keep referencing it. This is the first time we've seen it. Secondly, he's going to be the new fiddler? All right, whatever. There are 13 degrees of not giving a fuck. We've reached all 13 when it comes to this kid. Then we have her reprimanding the two parents, and she even goes, listen, with my fiddler, what the fuck's a fiddle? With my fiddle, there we go, I can render them immobile and you can kill them. And they're like, where's the sport in that? And she goes, you guys are barbaric, you're animals. She went to the Nick Cannon school of learning to talk to people. She's like, your daughter's an animal. And Tiger's just like, bitch, what? And shot her point blank with a crossbow. her husband just goes, like, this isn't what he says to his wife. Like, this isn't what Sportsmaster says to Tigers, but this is what he meant. He looks at Tigers and goes, I want to fuck you right now.
Basically, yeah.
Fiddler wasn't wrong. They're basically animals.
But he was already walking the R-rated line with the fights. So
yep. I mean, you can only go so far when you have a 12-year-old drill some dude in the back. That came out wrong.
We'll get to Doom Patrol in a minute.
So we then get to the point where everyone meets up. Mike's very impressed with his dad's new cool car monster. So is his wife. It's not what was said, but when Stripesy landed, this is what Mrs. Dugan said to Pat, or implied, I want to fuck you right now. And Pat's like, I know. I want to fuck it too. Because Stripesy's pretty awesome. So they all get together, and we find out that Our Man's journal is... I don't even know. Like the kid was working on the fucking car to start the season. Like, it's the only thing... Yeah. He even says, it's the only thing I have from my father. And he never thinks to once use the car's make and model date. Bro, you cannot be able to figure out that mathematics, because let's be honest, that's probably harder than anything you and I could figure out. I get stumped on trigonometry, or no, I get stuck on geometry. Is that a circle? No, it's a sphere. So it's a circle, sphere, circle, sphere, circle, sphere. This is a cone. Circle. Ugh!
It's a cylinder. I was just like, God damn it, what is that?
Well, if we have a cylinder, don't we have things to put in it? I know it's a cylinder, but still. But like this kid's like 16 going on angry, and he figured out this mathematical puzzle to its nth degree, but he couldn't figure out that the last remaining missing code was either his birthday, his father's birthday, his mother's birthday, or the date of the only thing he owns. Like, there's 4 things you could have gone with, kid. So, like, that was dumb. But also kind of makes sense because he's 16 and stupid, so why would he? So he figures it out, and it ends up being a map. Okay. I was thinking it would be more, but whatever. We also find out that Yolanda still very much misses Brainwave Jr., not that that's relevant, because those were literally some of the only lines she had in the entire episode. We also find out that Barbara's going to be going with them, and I'm just sitting there going, yeah, and well. And Mike's like, what can I do? And Pat does the whole, the greatest job in the world. You're going to look after, what was it? What was that line from goddamn Hook? Never ants. They're real small. That's basically the job they gave Mike. Look after the dog. And Mike's like, you know what? I'm fine with that. I'm good with that. Because Mike's 12, has the body type of a strung out, coked up supermodel, and has the athletic ability of a boulder that hasn't moved in 2,000 years. Like, what's Mike gonna do in a fight? Nothing.
What did you think about the? Can I try to pull Excalibur from the stone, sis?
That was kind of... I actually find them very endearing together. And, like, he grabbed it, and like, he doesn't go into, like, why you? He goes, my dad made Stripesy. Maybe I could do something like that for the Justice Society. And Courtney's like, no, probably not, but sure. Again, not what she said, what she meant. But I do like that Courtney is actually taking into account her brother's feelings. I think that's wonderful. And I like that Mike's, he's aware this is a big situation. And he's not going to stomp his feet and go, well, I can't go. And, like, everything about this episode made sense. Like, even with, Barb. Even with Barb, where they're like, with Dr. Midnight, I don't remember her real name.
Beth, no, not Beth. Is it
yes,
Beth?
Yolanda? Yeah, Beth.
Yeah.
You're right. Beth is like, I'll go to, Barb's old workplace, Convenient America, or whatever the fuck it was called, and hack into their computers with the help of the original Dr. Midnight, who lives inside these goggles, because this show is just utter nonsense. And Barb goes, I'll go with her because I know that building better than anyone. And Pat's like, I don't like this, Barb. I was actually pretty solid, I'm not going to lie. And Barb
Yeah,
goes,
I was just gonna say, that's damn good. That's damn good.
thank you,
That's a damn good duking.
Thank you. And Barb goes, you'll send a 16-year-old? I'll be a 15-year-old. I'll be 16 in 2 weeks. in there, but I can't go? And Pat's like, solid defense.
He's like, damn it, you'll still be useless without them goggles in 2 weeks.
I mean, you're not wrong. Without those goggles, Beth is pretty useless. So sending 2 useless people is like, I don't know, better than sending 1. And I kind of love that, like when they were, forming off into teams, Courtney was like, I'll go with Stripesy. You 3, you 2 go in the other way. Or you 3, because Shining Knight went with them. And I just thought that was adorable that she picked Dad to go with. I was like, that's fucking, oh my God, I love that. And I love the scene of them like running up to there, like, Stargirl's running alongside Stripesy, and I'm just like, that shot probably cost $1 million.
Yeah. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. There was also this great thing of we got the return of Shiv, who was mouthy as ever,
so
but this time
oh my God.
She's mouthing off to Brett. Why do people talk shit to this dude? Like, what are you doing?
That's one of those things like where you just think of that one scene from Spider-Man 2 where Tobey Maguire's walking around going, raindrops keep falling on my head. Because that way, he don't know what you thinking. So instead of like doing the smart thing and not pissing off the guy who can blink and kill you, she antagonizes him. If there's a wrong playbook to ever pull from, that was the wrongest of all the wrong playbooks. Don't know. And then he hits her in the most brutal way, in a way that you almost wished he had just killed her. He leaned in and said, I know what your father thinks of you. And he thinks you're a failed experiment. And she just, like, her eyes kind of, like, she doesn't go angry, but her brow furrows. And, like, you can hear her kind of catch in her throat, like, my father loves me. And Brainwave kind of just smiles in return, and you're like, oh, my God. I have literally torn every ligament in my knee, and I have never seen anything that painful before in my life. Damn. Brainwave was not here to fuck around. Oh, Marcus, I felt bad for Shiv. I felt so bad for her.
It's funny how we felt about her in the first few episodes, and now, like, again, full circle, she's had some of the best scenes of the show.
Well, that's not too surprising. Mostly in part because Marcus, when they finally get into the new Constitution, they want green energy, renewable resources, healthcare for all, and at one point Our Man even goes, Pat, you sure we on the right side on this one? So it's even though, Dr. Ito, right? Is that his name? Ito. I was about to call him Dr. Giro. That's a completely different character, though. Even though Dr. Ito is a giant snake monster who experimented on his wife and child, among others, I mean, it's not all bad.
Because I just imagine whoever that is that's living in his house. I'm just imagining her breaking appliances so she can call Pat back over. Cause
she can call me over whenever she wants. I'll give her my snake. So, I don't know if Marcus is laughing or hissing, but either way, it works. It works.
Because I'm just imagining, I'm coming up to the door, Mama Lodi is somebody call for a plumber, man.
I'll roll up there. Hello, little lady. You need something fixed? I'm too sweet to be sour. I'm the tower of power. I'm coming at you like a double feature. I'll just scare her with my terrible ass Macho Man impersonation. Or maybe she's super into it. Can I snap into you like a Slim Jim?
He's He's freaking macho, and I'm pulling like a youthful Teddy Long. It's time for a tag team match.
We reached the logical conclusion of the friendship. It was destined to end in a three-way. Woo! So, it's revealed that Icicle is actually a really good dude. Universal healthcare, green energy, renewable, all great shit, right? But turns out that he's going to force everyone to be okay with all that stuff, even though I'm pretty sure most of his target demo, I'm pretty sure they're already on board. Like, cool. Like, all right. So to force everyone to see things his way, he will be hitting them with that brainwave juice and making people agree with him whether they want to or not. And about 25% of people will die because turns out individuals don't like being told what to do. Shocking. And I like how they kept the math basic. They're like 25%, will die. Well, how many people are going to be affected? 100 million. That's 25 million people dead. And I'm sitting going, I knew that math. I didn't need you to tell me. I knew 25% of 100 million people was 25%. Was 25 million. I knew that. I was very excited with my mathematical skills in that moment. So the one thing I will say is that the idea of free will could have been a bigger aspect brought into the conversation. I know part of the joke was these guys want good things, but doing it in a bad way. But the idea of forcing someone to agree with you should have been part of the response, and they didn't do that, and I was kind of disappointed. But they got 30 minutes until it starts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because even in that moment, everybody collectively was like, well, in this case, the end might justify the means until you wait a minute. How many people are going to die?
Yeah, everyone was super on board until the death count. Vegeta would have been fine with it, but Goku would have been like, one? No! And Vegeta's like, it's only one Kakarot. Leave him be.
Me and Chad walking through the hall about to go in and wait a minute. They're trying to kill all the flat earthers? We're a big AJ Styles fan, but he's had his time. It's hot.
We got 20 years of content. Reruns is fine.
Exactly. And then they bring up something well, they're also getting rid of all. They're gonna do universal fruit on pizzas. I'm like, oh well.
So we're walking out of the tunnel. We're walking out of the tunnel. Nope, we're good. See you, flat earthers. And then he's like, and they're gonna mandate pineapple on all the pizza. And Marcus is just standing there in shot, and you just see me dashing back through the hallway. We gotta turtle down.
Soon as they say mandate pineapple on pizza, I just turn in the clip. Shit.
We stroll in. What the fuck? So it's revealed, though, that the 30-minute time limit that they thought they had to stop everything wasn't actually a 30-minute time limit to the start of things. It was a 30-minute time limit until the thing is completed. So they have 30 minutes until, the device fully takes hold and kills 25% of the affected area, which was probably about 12 states. And I like that it was only 12 states, right? It would have been so hokey if they had just done the entire United States or all of Canada. It just made sense that there was a limit. It's the small things like that Jeff John does really well.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that.
Yeah. Even flipping the heroes on a time limit to save the world, flipping that on his head, to do. By the way, freaking the wizard or whatever hacks the comms. At the last minute, you'd be like, oh, you think you have time to stop? No. This has been going. And starting, 30 minutes ago. You're what are we going to do? There's nothing you can do, my child. Matter of fact, why don't you look at your chaperone?
And that's when we find out that the adults have already been affected because the device only affects adults, which, again, makes sense from a evil with a morality cause, because you wouldn't want to hurt children without a real need to, right? So, of course, their device wouldn't affect children because it has a success rate of only 75%.
And it also plays on the real life logical thing that says what our minds aren't fully developed to like what mid-20s or something like that.
Yeah, like 23, 24, depending.
Yeah, early 20s. Huh? Yeah.
So Barb can lie about her age as much as she wants, but she ain't 24 anymore. We can prove that. So Barb locks up. Sir Justin locks up the Shining Knight. And then we see Pat is frozen up as well. The only difference is I think it's the crazy Southern hacker guy. He's like, I can control. Was it him or was it someone else who said it? Who said that he can control anyone?
It was Brainwave.
It was Brainwave. That's right.
Because he was like, I can feel all of them, including Stripe. I mean, or Pat Dugan, and then Gunnar just turns around like, oh shit. And the irony of all this is they might actually end up freaking needing Mike.
Right. There is one thing we have not seen yet. Just saying. Things might get a little brighter in this darkest of days.
Or could the pen be mightier than the sword?
Ooh! Marcus with the retort. Just don't put on the goddamn helmet, Mike. That never goes well for anyone. Just don't do it. You got to give up like a parent to get out of that. And listen, I got one I'm willing to throw under the bus, but like, that's like a one freebie. Like that's like your one pass out of jail, like, right?
Yeah.
No, kid.
What if they like super kick both of our like latent suggestions, and then Mike shows up out of nowhere with the fiddle because he went home?
They were at the Dugan's house, weren't they?
Yeah.
I thought they were at their house.
You talking about the cabin?
Yeah.
Or when they shot him?
No.
Yeah, that was the Dugan's.
When old girl with the fiddle walked in, I thought they were at Tigress's and Sportsmaster's house, because those new modern century fucking ranch, whatever the fucking those gaudy ass houses, they all look the same. So I didn't know. I thought they would. I thought they would know.
Yeah, I feel like they were still at the Dugans. But yeah, they panned close up on that fiddle for a reason. So
right, my thought of it was going to be for the son of the fiddler, but it could be Mike. Because Sportsmaster and Tigers are still hunting him. So we could see a situation where Mike runs home because where else is he gonna go, and finds the fiddle. Could be interesting. I'm certainly invested. I'm ready for the season finale. I think they've done a good enough job with season 1 to bring me back for season 2, and there was times when I wasn't sure about that. So I think it's a really good idea. There's also an idea in play where Shiv gets out, and maybe she's the reason things go sideways. So there's a lot of interesting possibilities that can stem from this going forward. I'm certainly interested in seeing how things play out for sure. So yeah, next week's season finale and kind of series finale of this version of the ComicCorp. So Marcus, let's march on through to the other side to Doom Patrol. It's the episode Dad Patrol. Go ahead and get spoiler crazy.
Seemingly the penultimate episode of to the end of this season, man. This week, Jane sets out to prove her worth in the underground. Meanwhile, Cliff goes into dad mode. As we know, his daughter returned, came to the manor last week looking, I guess, for some form of reconciliation after Niles sent basically the video proving what he did to him and why he was not in her life all those years. Speaking of Niles devotes a day to Dorothy, seeing as he came up with, I guess, a final solution, if you will, to her potential danger to the world. Um, but there's a twist in this episode because time is up when something happens that is very detrimental to her growing up. Also, Rita embraces her superhero status as the beekeeper, riding along this week shotgun with Vic, who was forced to confront a new version of Ronnie post Uni Juice or whatever that was, Uma Juice, Uma Jelly. There it is. So yeah, like I said, Jane was set to prove herself this week in the underground, and that ended up consisting of her rallying to with Matt Bomer's character to Negative Man to go return to her own homestead of the Well so she could retrieve a stuffed animal for the young girl. And we get a flashback of who we now know to be the primary, basically hiding the stuffed animal and climbing her way out of that well, because her dad was a complete douchebag. Every time he punished her, he would force her down into the well, and she would have to sit there until he pulled out. So she goes there, she goes into the well, faces her fears, gets the rabbit, brings it back to the underground, and after seeing what the new primary did, she kind of conceded to her and like, look, I'll take a back seat. You obviously know what's best for her. You protected her. And she basically takes the stuffed animal, throws it back in the symbolic well in the underground, and pushes Jane into it. She falls to the bottom of it, and is now submerged in water, where she sees the now decaying bodies of the fiery one and Baby Doll. So much for being so much for being reborn. And we go to Rita, like I said, is embracing her identity as a beekeeper. Kicked off the episode, her basically showing that she stopped the mugger in the paper, and Vic ended up teasing her like, we need to get you like some type of beekeeper mobile where, you know, you pull up to the crime scene, bzz, bzz. He's basically just mocking her because it's like, look, what do you want to do with this? And he ends up getting some type of news thing on his grid that says somebody was killed who was in connection with Ronnie. They end up going to the crime scene. He leaves her there because he really just has no time for her. He ends up confronting Ronnie about the death. And he was like, I understand what you did, but you can't do it anymore. And in her mind, she took the Uma jelly, so she's 100%, like, even her injuries from all the surgeries and the stuff that got taken out of her have been healed. So she's a completely new woman. They end up having a confrontation. She kind of manhandles him a little bit, and he almost, looks to blow her head off with the sonic cannon. They kind of come to a stalemate. She goes to leave. Rita shows up, but she lets her go. Now we get to Cliff, who, and I can't wait for you to watch it, because seeing him just try to make up for however many years he's been gone with his daughter is one of the most adorable things you're going to see with this character. And by the way, he ended up, the finger gets brought back up in this episode in a hilarious way. But he seemingly reconciles in a way with his daughter. She reveals something to him that he didn't know. She's getting, it tells her that she's getting married. And she ends up inviting him. And he is like a child over the moon at their first Christmas when they got everything they wanted under the tree. So that's him. We finally get some good with Cliff. And we end things off, like I said, Niles is going to dedicate the day to Dorothy because, unbeknownst to her, it's seemingly her last day. But they end up stopping for gas, and he gives her money and tells her she can go in the store and get anything she wants, and tells him to get him something specific. She goes into the store. The clerk sees her because again, she doesn't look normal by our standards. She goes into the store, the clerk sees her, but doesn't say anything. She's on the aisle. A little girl sees her, and it frightens Dorothy because she knows that she could possibly startle people, and all of a sudden, she sees blood on her skirt.
Ruh-roh.
And we find out in this episode where she finds out that she's seemingly reaching a stage in her life. She has this great exchange in the bathroom with a clerk. By great, I mean she had somebody to comfort her in a very awkward way. You'll see what I'm talking about when you watch the episode. And this is unbeknownst to Niles, who would later find out that it's literal Doom Patrol, because even though they went to this fair and had this great time or whatever, this is all Candlemaker needed to get out. And when the Templar Knight guy, who was supposed to put her away, pops up, he's like, look, man, like, I get you trying to be goddamn, the George Jetson for your kid today or whatever, but you wasting a lot of time, and then when at the end of the episode, stuff begins to melt. And it's time. Because, like, as we know, as she matures, so does this thing who is closer to getting out. And there's nothing that speaks more to maturity of a young lady than her coming into her cycle. So she ended up having a vision showing her mother, saying that she was ready to confront it. She ended up running from him. And, yeah, Candlemaker is upon us. So.
Dun, dun, dun. I felt that was appropriate. So we are now into the final parts of Doom Patrol. I did read something interesting about next week's or this week's episode of Doom Patrol, that it was a somehow fitting finale, even though they didn't get all the episodes they intended. So I thought that was interesting. I didn't read the details of why it's a good finale, but sometimes you luck into things. So, with that being said, let's mosey on down to Y the Last Man Way, and talk a little bit about, I don't know, guns and monkeys. So we left off on, what was it, Paper Dolls? Yes. So this week's review covers The Hour of Our Death, Buttons, 1000 Typewriters, Kimono Dragons, The Tin Man, and Gehenna. It's a solid set of arcs, I think. But I feel like there's something quite missing in these back parts of the issues, and I really don't know how to put my finger on it. Marcus, we've been reading some obscure nonsense over the years. The 8 or 9, 10 issues that we read, what was your initial feeling about them? Do you feel like they're clipping along at a good pace still?
Yeah, it's I think all this is leading up to two things. One, you're getting back to this. By the way, they threw a hell of a monkey wrench.
Yeah.
Which I kind of figured when it happened, because as you do when two people come together, but in basically a post-apocalyptic world, you don't have a lot of time for prophylactics.
Nope.
At least not the way this story is set up. But this is all coming down to the whole monkey thing. The global recognition of his existence, and then obviously his reuniting with his long lost fiance. So it kind of felt like, in a way, things kept coming up to defer that. That wasn't necessarily the most exciting. Like, to me, the most exciting thing probably came with the sub fights, the water fights, which I thought was a great little thing. Again, him running into a woman. I think, like, the great thing about specifically the back half of this story is it really showing you, like, even though he's the last man, how these women seemingly affect him, even though the story is being geared towards how he affects, this now lone nation of women. So, um, but yeah, it did feel like they just kept throwing things in a way. It's like, oh, but did you know about this? And did you know about that? It's like, but do you think I care at this point? So it was interesting. I mean, the stuff was interesting, and who doesn't like a good ninja fight? But it's like, okay, let's speed this up a little bit.
Yeah, like we got in 1000 Typewriters, if I remember correctly, Ampersand the monkey gets like an entire backstory. I didn't need to know that. Why did I need to know that? In Buttons, we found that it's the origin of Agent 355, which I do believe is the cover we're using for the screen. She has a pet little orange, I don't know, a chimpanzee maybe? Orangutan? Monkey? And it's adorable, but she's also holding a gun, and there's blood on the wall, and she's already got 355. It's very haunting, but in a very profound way. I do like the fact that Yorick has a kid, just sitting in some chick's womb. I don't know why I found that so funny, but I did, because of course the last man on Earth still somehow knocked up a chick that he has no intentions of staying with. Like, come on, Yorick.
And this is after we get the flashbacks of like him and Beth's relationship, which is adorably awkward. Like they're almost perfect for each other on the page.
Mm-hmm.
But in a lot of ways, it's kind of like almost like the chick from the church is almost the woman he kind of needs. It's weird because there's also this weird back and forth between him and 355, specifically after he found out that he slept with old girl. We kind of found out later that it was more so to do with him wanting misery to love company as opposed to an actual attraction. But I do think there's something a mild bit deeper there, maybe on her end, or maybe it's just what she said. Like, I'm this lion that got to take care of this little sickly cub all the time, and I kind of, I'm attached to him at the hip a little bit.
Either way, affection's affection. But we are starting to ramp up to the revelation. Why did this happen? One of the things that we found out in the Tin Man is Allison Mann reveals that she's been on a big old quest to try to clone herself. I don't know why. That seems like a really bad idea. But scientists are fucking crazy. Something is going to be revealed as to who, what, where, when, why, and how. And it's going to have to do with cloning. And that's kind of been a hint throughout the entire series that, the incident was definitely man-made, and it was definitely someone's giant fuck-up. But what was it? Well, that's you're going to have to tune in next week to find out if you're not reading. Also, Ampersand got kidnapped by a Yakuza boss.
Yeah.
I mean, we've gone peak on this one. Peak? Just peak?
Yeah, we got to see Yorick make up with his sister. That was cool.
Gangsters kidnapping monkeys.
Swan. Yeah, the Dr. Swan got laid twice. Although the first time I think was more in line with what she wanted because she's clearly being freaking used by One-Eyed Willie or Wilhelmina. So yeah, it's a lot of backlay. Oh, and I guess at this point we should say R.I.P. Mrs. Brown.
Yes.
She got assassinated, so that sucks.
Why am I not remembering who Mrs. Brown is?
His mom.
Oh, okay. I just kept referring to her as York's mom. Yeah, she got bit the big one with the what was it, a bullet? Remember correctly?
Yeah.
She got sniped. I think. I read this last week. A lot of things happened. By the by, if you're wondering, Ampersand is a capuchin monkey, i.e., the best monkey. Unless you can somehow tame and train a gorilla not to rip your arms off. Technically not a monkey, but in my childlike head, yes, totally a monkey.
Yeah, and screw that ninja, man. Chopping off pieces of the damn thing's tail is punishment.
What a dick. Like, what a dick. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? That's one of those where I wish this was Animorphs. I could just morph into a gorilla like Marcos does. Grab the ninja and just rip it into shreds. Like, oh, how do you feel? You lost an arm, now you lost a leg. Yeah. Not so fun, is it?
And then because I think they knew what it was going to take with the particular abuse on Ampersand, they threw in another monkey. They threw in a pirate monkey with a sunnier disposition that was potty trained to almost make us put Ampersand in our review.
Hey man, I'm never gonna fret about more monkeys. Just can't do it. So that's it for the reviews. Marcus, you had made mention that you saw a trailer for the new Deathstroke thing. It's a movie.
Yeah. It looks to be good. Obviously, Deathstroke is we kind of know we know the story of Deathstroke. Obviously, his family, is going to get attacked. His son is going to inherit powers. He also has a daughter. They are going to, I guess, come together to kind of betray him and some more hijinks or whatever. But this is kind of affiliated with CWC. I think they've done a good job. I mean, they've done stuff with the not the Lucifer, the freaking John Constantine and stuff of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And some other, so looking good to check that out. A final trailer for The Boys drop, which I was trying to careful not to retweet because it'll come across Chad's feed, and I know he's saving himself for season 2.
Be gentle with me.
Okay, good luck with that. Freaking, I think they found somebody to tell Homeland to hold my beer. Yeah, and we will do a full show on that because I end up having to do 2 shows on depending on how the season goes. But yeah, that's out, and apparently because things keep getting pushed back and God knows when this whole thing is gonna be over. Apparently Disney is streaming like, look, man, we're gonna bet ourselves and put this theatrical Mulan on service and just ask you to pay $30, which basically I would imagine is what you would have paid for a family viewing anyway.
Sans treats and stuff. I think that's what Scoob did. I think Scoob was like, hey, buy us for $24 and you can own us. And I'm just like, so you're selling the movie then? Okay. I'm fine with that. I've always said that theaters are an outdated mode of viewing things. And it looks like this pandemic finally hastened the end. Now, I'm not a fan of seeing any industry die. There's a lot of jobs that need to be fulfilled, and with movie industries, with the theater, you're employing 50 to 70 people, depending on how big your theater is. So I don't want to see them lose their jobs, right? Like, no, that's awful. On the flip side, I hate watching movies with people. Like, I'll do it in a small group, or if I've seen the movie 1,000 times, fair. But I hate going to the movie theater because I don't want some asshat on his phone talking about the movie. I went and saw, I told you this story. I went and saw Rogue One, and I damn near got into a fight because the people wouldn't shut up. It's so rude, and people have no manners anymore. So I'm just sitting there going, I'm about to go Colin Firth on your ass. Manners maketh men.
Yeah.
Just slamming the door on their head repeatedly. Are you gonna shut up now?
They try to punch that in the hallway, then they go to the bathroom, and they go back in the parking lot. And then everyone's gone except their car, and they're like, okay, that's weird. And then all you just hear is, Howard says.
Cars that weren't there before start exploding. I've hired someone to play a bugle. You hear, wah, wah, da, 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 da. The guy's like, who's playing the bugle? I wrote it for you. He's gonna play it at your funeral, and when I kill you, it works if you've seen the movie.
Oh man.
Goddamn. Don't talk during a movie, goddammit. It's so rude.
But you're right. I mean, besides the theater experience, which at this point, like, how many people have turned to YouTube and turned into, budding critics or whatever? Now it won't be nothing. You can go from screen to screen, or basically a tab over, that go from watching the movie to reviewing it.
Yeah.
Going ahead, knocking it out. Like a lot of people. Because a lot of times people want to get those initial thoughts off anyway, or if it's like, sometimes it's like Infinity War, people want to sit with that depth-defying, that soul-crushing ending that they did. Heavy quotation marks on that. But, yeah, I mean, look, man, the way things are set up now, you practically do a theater experience from your house. 4K, surround sound, it's just everything's kind of just coming back to the in the hands of the viewer in every sense of the word. So like I said, unless you kind of just get off to being in a smelly theater, which may be less smelly now because I guess it's going to be a mandate to make sure things are clean and sanitized. Other than being around people, which you can still do, depending on who you have around you, you don't really need it. And this way you can make the choice, or I guess a more informed choice of what you want to pay for. Now, you can very much still pay for this and want your money back, but I think it's just a better option because, like you said, things were leaning this way before because I've seen people want to give movies phenomenal reviews, but the experience was so damn bad. They almost had to make a whole nother video.
You're not wrong. Streaming, digital content, movies on your TV, them's the ways to goes. Some real interesting news. Apparently they're making a 5th John Wick, and if that confuses you because there hasn't even been a 4th one yet, you're not out of order. No, they've already announced the 5th one before the 4th one's even come out. They're committed. I mean, it gives Keanu Reeves something to do. I love me some Keanu Reeves. Super excited about Bill and Ted 3. Can't wait to see how that goes. We're also getting Knight Rider. Dintin, 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 dintin. Is coming to the theaters, ironically enough, near you. Some point, because it's gonna be a new reboot series. Apparently, it's being upped for a television, not television, but for a film role. So I think that's gonna be interesting. I can't wait to see how Knight Rider transfers to the movies. And Marcus, lastly, at least that I have seen, that's worth mentioning is, have you ever seen the baseball movie A League of Their Own?
Yeah, it's been a while, but yeah.
They're making it into a series now. I don't mind that. Now, I don't really know if it's going to be some type of sequel to the original film or their own version of the story, because they do make a point to say that it's going to feature the all-women's baseball league that ended in the early 50s. So they could conceivably just do a sequel to the film, which was, if I remember correctly, it was the group of women replacing the major leagues for 2 seasons or so while the men were off fighting World War II. And then when the men returned, the women split off into their own league. So it might be a film about, or a series about them in their own league. Hence, a league of their own. I don't know. And I haven't seen A League of Their Own in quite some time. So I can't really say for sure what the actual plot of the original one was. I just remember being super, super fond of the pitcher. I forget her name. She was the chick from Beetlejuice. I liked her a lot. And then her sister in the movie was Tank Girl, I think. The girl who played in Tank Girl. So I'm excited. I don't really know much of the cast for the show. So it's going to be interesting to see, who and what actually ends up happening and how this turns out. But I'm willing to give it a shot because I love baseball. I like the movie. And I'm all for more baseball content.
I mean, look, man. Sandlot, Angels in the Outfield, and Mr. 3000.
Yo.
Three of my favorite films.
Gotta have the have to. Rookie of the year. What the hell was he talking about? What the hell was I talking about? All right, so I think that'll do it about tonight. We've done all the prerequisite come follow us stuff. Subscribe, like, comment. One last time, realnerdcorp.com, RealNerdcorp.com. Check us out, hang out with us, subscribe to our stuff, follow us, and all that good jazz. Or don't. Completely up to you. But until then, until next time, until next Thursday at 9 p.m., right here at twitch.tv/Comic and GameCorp. Until then, we're done. We'll see you later, and we'll talk to you soon. Marcus, say goodnight.
Good night, me.